Morning, everybody. Let me adjust that. Today is July 31st, end of July. This is the recap video for Allodium for the last month. In the last month, there has been got a vehicle working and everything, but there's been vehicle problems, so it hasn't arrived. Ordered a amazing trim machine, but coronavirus, blah blah, supply chain issues, taking a lot longer to ship, has not arrived. The CBD from last year sent it all out to get extracted, 100% of it. Unfortunately, the place that was doing the extracting, they well, they didn't extract all of it, but they extracted most of it, and we have a little bit left to maybe make some coconut oil with, or sell bulk or something. I don't know, but most of it all got processed. They just got a little bit back. So that's been great to get through all of the product from last year, or most of it, and still working on that. But it doesn't seem like it's really a big negative, like holding us back. It's all kind of in process and processing and moving forward. There was one other thing: the plants. Oh, the build project has been progressing slowly, just because most of the focus has all been on plants and other projects. So I had a goal to get that build project done by the end of this month. That's not going to happen. It will get built by the end of next month. It was kind of like a soft, inspirational kind of goal for the end of this month, but the next one it's going to be a hard, firm goal where we're definitely going to keep that goal of all the mortar will be done by the end of next month, and hopefully some windows in. And planning another project right now regarding the shipping container and framing around it, and integrating with plants and a new solar upgrade on top of that, which will allow for more capabilities, including laundry. Laundry will be great. So I've been going to town to do laundry for years now, and it'll be great to have a laundry machine. And the other big thing in the last month has just been getting additional help. I've been doing pretty much everything by myself up until the last month, and Lumen has been helping a lot in the last month, specifically the last couple of weeks, and that's been great. So that's kind of an overall update on everything here. All the animals are good. The plants are doing well. It's been really warm weather, but hasn't been a problem really. And mostly going all good. Oh, little adjustment there. Okay. So yeah, that's the last month. Looking forward to the next month. There's the build project to complete. There's the Connex shipping container project to do. There's the greenhouse project. That's the next project after those ones. Replacing the greenhouse on the original structure, and then there's other projects too. But the main thing is to just keep active at the maximum sustainable intensity pace, and get as much done as possible. Also, the next month, the trim machine should arrive. That'll be amazing. The vehicle should return fixed. Finally, that would be great. And there'll be some more to report in the next week. That's mostly the Allodium stuff, past, present, future. And I'll get into my greater macro kind of forecasting predictions. I don't know if anyone is listening to these, likely not, but I like the whole keeping to a schedule, the weekly updates, the monthly videos, and or just like voicing my opinion, and like on these different platforms, they're getting more and more restrictive to free speech, and so it's not even about anyone hearing me. It's just about freely speaking. Um, and if other people find value in that, then that's great. But if not, I find value in just doing this process because I'm putting things together and I'm sticking to a consistent schedule. And that's like, I don't know, an aspect of like dependability. And then you can look back on it and see like month to month, week to week. So I didn't actually listen to the last video before I'm doing this one right now, in order to kind of pick up on the trends and follow up on the projections, the forecasts, the predictions from the last video. But I want to say, I might be wrong, that we are past the first third of summer, heading into the midpoint of summer. The midpoint of summer is when there is an anticipated turning point in the general outlook from a positive to a negative. So, from the positive of like growing and thriving and sprouting and all this active spring summer energies that has the most momentum in spring and then slowly loses momentum, and then at like peak summer, it's like everything's been germinated, all these seeds have been germinated, and things are kind of reach their max canopy in a space that might be competing for extra canopy space depending on how everything is all planned and everything. And then the flowering process begins, which is no longer growing, but it's flowering. um, which the change in perception, instead of like, "Ooh, we're gonna grow this season," it's like we're gonna prepare for the next season, right? That's what flowering is all about. It's like, let's start putting our energy into seeds for the next season so that we can prepare for this winter that's coming. Um, so that's what I kind of anticipate around midpoint of August is a change in. There might be an event, and there's lots of potentials for. We won't get into potentials for events, but the point being the anticipated mentality of the culture is going to be transitioning midsummer. So then by the time, and also the squeeze, I know we mentioned the squeeze last video. So that'll be the beginning of the squeeze, essentially. Right now we're like haven't quite realized it. The squeeze has already like begun, but it's not even realized. So the mentality, the effect, the general kind of coloring of the normal relativity, you could say, the general relativity, is anticipated it's going to start to turn around the mid-month. So what that's going to mean is that starting around the mid-month and moving forward, we're gonna see a repeat of all these shortages. It's not gonna just start in the mid-month, and it's not gonna be extreme by the end of the month by the next report, but it's gonna start. It's gonna be visible. It's gonna start in some things. It's already visible in some things like beer, aluminum cans. It's like the things that the people are buying to cope with what's going on is a great signal as to how retarded the general culture is. Like, we're out of toilet paper and beer, so what are we gonna do now? We'll have to be sober and wipe our ass with a towel. But so the thriving aspect of the economy, actually, the average income has increased over this whole last few months because of the unemployment bonuses and everything that the government has been doing. Inflation creating more money, which decreases the value of the dollar, but it's a short-term fix, and that's all the government is going to do. It's going to keep printing. It's going to try to make the short term better, but it's going to destroy the long term. And intergovernmental, like China, this is perfect for China. So China is playing the long game. They want the U.S. to destroy itself in the long term. They don't care what it does in the short term. They support one party. The country is divided into two parties, and then both parties are like there's no reasonable growth pattern. They both have short term agendas with long term failure baked in the cake. So anyone who is bought into that whole system, they experience failure as it plays out. So my whole mentality and the reason why I'm trying to communicate with other people is that I will have taken the exit ramp from that kind of culture and economy, and by creating a cooperative, it's many people can have the opportunity to take that transition to thrive through this period. I expect that as a result of everything going on, um, because I have prepared for it and positioned the cooperative to prepare for it, that I will increase in wealth, increase in quality of life. The cooperative is thriving. Everyone who's involved with it is benefiting from it. The more they're involved, the more they're benefiting. And the idea is to create the trajectory which has long term success. All the other trajectories are long term failure and short term failure. I mean, it's just like the illusion of short term success. Um, so, what else can I say that's going to be valuable to anybody else that might be listening or might listen later? Because it's not a I'm in the present time, but people are in other times, and then it relates from the future times to the present time through this medium of the video. Um, all I can say is in the present moment to prepare for the future moments is to get positioned. If you can be not dependent on that control grid, that matrix, if you can get off grid and empower yourself, so you're not being powered by utilities, but you're individually empowered and create those systems and food production and energy generation and storage and local communities, and getting that those economic models of barter or even better, and uh, an economic system which is even better than barter, like we have with the appreciation tokens. The whole economic incentive system protocol benefits all the people. It's structured for long term growth. It has scaling um, factored into it. Um, but people can prepare by putting there, if you have assets now in financial instruments or dollar based derivatives, um, re- reallocate that value while it still has some value in its current form, maybe illusory, but it's still there. Convert it into real forms of value. Precious metals, gold is at an all time high, and it's only going to keep going up as the dollar crashes. It'll go down a little bit, but it'll keep hitting new all time highs. Um, uh, Precious metals, cryptocurrencies, these are both money potentials to preserve your value, but then the real assets, food storage, having shelter in a place which has security, um, your water, your community. Where are you? Are you in a resonant place? Does it seem like the trends of where you are and what you're doing is going in a positive direction, where you see all these thriving things in your future and exciting, or is it going in a negative direction where you can't, it's like depressing and you can't see the positivity in the future, and it just seems like this looming depression? And that's the thing, the depression is real, and that's what it's necessary to have a depression in order to sort of like hit rock bottom and have a value reevaluation. The thing is, that's the last thing the government is going to allow. So the government is going to do everything to prevent that rock bottom from hitting. It's this whole deluded mentality of like, you think you're doing something good, but you're doing the worst possible thing. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You don't let people experience reality, so you just subsidize an illusion, give them free money, free this, free that, blah blah blah. But it's all just an illusion. Um, and everyone's responsible whether they accept that or not. So I don't feel bad knowing that there's going to be millions of people starving and dying and killing each other, and the warfare and conflict and stuff that happens. I don't feel bad about that. That's just what's going to happen. Um, and the what I can take responsibility for is how I'm gonna act in the present moment to orient myself to avoid those negatives and to create as positive a future as possible. And that's what we can all do, working together and cooperating with common ground, with parallel mentalities and a symbiotic nature is the solution. Um, so as far as forecasts, everything is playing out exactly as I anticipated. I'm gaining. Anyways, I don't need to say all the positives that are happening as a result of the other seeming negatives that are happening, other than to just reiterate that this doesn't have to be negative at all. None of this has to be negative. It can all be very positive, and things that I communicate sometimes seem negative because I'm exposing a reality to people who are in that negative reality. So if you're just in that reality, you can just kind of accept it and feel like it's normalized. But when you see another perspective which is outside of that reality, to have some compare and contrast and to be like, fuck, we could be thriving to such a degree and outside and like free. We could be free. We could not be debt slaves working all the time for some stupid fucking thing that we don't really like. We could be doing exactly what we want to do, empowering ourselves, our family, our community in an ideal reality. That's a possibility. That's a potential. It just takes responsibility and action and make it happen. I think everyone that I'm in relation with is on that trajectory essentially because I'm so direct with everyone that I don't even tolerate um, the negativity. It's like I'll just reflect it as what it is. Like you're a muzzled bitch that's a slave feeding into the tax system and voting and continuing this so I don't even relate with those people because I just communicate directly, and then they don't want to, if they either realize that and they make a change, or they're like, I don't want to hear that shit. And that's why people don't respond to me on the social medias. I don't have likes. I don't have people watching these videos. I don't care about any of that. It's not about getting validation from numbers of other people being like, "Woo, good job, normal on the upvote." Fucking, I don't care. Um, what I do care about is what I'm responsible for, is my dependents, my family, what I can actually do to create the change that I want to see in the world. So and that's what I'm doing. Um, so yeah, I think that's all I feel like expressing right now as we end July and head into August. It's like this is gonna be the last video I anticipate. I could be wrong. This is the best thing because we make predictions and you see in a month how it plays out. I think this is gonna be the last video where everything seems kind of like, I hate to say normal because it doesn't seem normal. It's like there's this whole economic lockdown and people getting these checks, but people haven't, like, you can see it's not normal, but people have like normalized it and they're just like getting used to it. But I anticipate by the next month things are going to be degraded to such an extent, and there's all this conflict already, but that the people who are just accepting things as they are, going about their daily business, by next month it's going to be, for some reason, we're saying that's not going to be the case. The most realistic aspect that could affect that is monetary issues or internet issues. If there's something that fucks with the internet or something that fucks with your ability to transact with your money, which would implicate a some sort of financial collapse, or it could be called an attack on the internet, which, and then the finance, and then it's all scapegoated. It's never responsibility. It's like, oh, somebody else did something to us. It's not like our failures. So if I internalize that, then I could say I could take responsibility for all of it, and that's fine too. I mean, when you everything exists in parallel, so um it's not a failure. That's the whole point. It's a revaluation. It's all positive. This is all positive progress going towards um, a culture and a global economy which is in symbiosis with the earth, as opposed to being parasitical and extractive of that life force. So this is as positive as you could possibly get of any outcome, is to revalue the total global value system, so that debt is not valued higher than life. I mean, how's that for just a basic ideology? Life is valued higher than debt, right? So there's not a value in exterminating an ecosystem to extract some notes of debt. Actually, that ecosystem has inherent value and the debt doesn't. So if you could burn up some debt and allow the ecosystem to thrive, you've done a great job. And that's what we're seeing right now. The debt is imploding, is burning up, and the ecosystem is going to thrive as a result. So you're going to have economies shut down, production shut down, industrialization shut down for a time, taking a because the demand won't be there, because the financial aspect collapses. And so why is the supply going to continue if the demand's not there, and there's instability in the trade relations? So there's not going to be the incentive to have a surplus, and then therefore people revert back to survival mentality, and it's a whole grand cycle. And then once we come out of this cycle, it will be revalued towards, on the basic level, survival. But survival is aligned with nature. Nature teaches the lessons to us through survival. As you survive in nature, you inherently learn lessons that are, you could say, provided, or that you face just inherently by the demands, the needs of survival of life. Nature's the great teacher, is there for all of us, but we hide from it and isolate ourselves and quarantine ourselves and sterilize the environment. So there's a bifurcation happening, and some people are going to take that track, but they're all going to die. Everyone's going to die. Some people are going to evolve and pass on evolutionary traits, and that will be the future. And some people devolve and just hide from reality and life and box themselves up, and they just they have no value, really. There's nothing to say negative, there's nothing to feel bad. It's like their choice, their responsibility. They just choose there's a life box, and there's a AI fucking death, like I don't deserve to live box. And a lot of people choose that box because they don't have the spirit within them, which is like driving them to live and create. And it's hard to relate to such zombified slaves, but they're out there. And I don't even need to really refer to them, because they don't even really matter, because they just die off from their own choices. So what we focus on is that which is thriving, which is living, which is influencing, impacting, creating the future in a way which is symbiotic with the whole life field. And if you think of Earth as a giant conscious being, just like we are a being, if we have entities within us which are killing the biodiversity, then that's the opposite of health. That's like a virus within us, within our individual being. That whole culture mentality is a virus. A healthy being would eliminate all those dead virus cells, right? So that the healthy things would thrive, and the virus things would just spin out and die. You turn up the temperature a little bit, increase the speed of it, so that they die just a little bit faster. Run a flu. It's a positive thing. You don't hide from the flu. You don't hide from your fucking environment. You don't hide from dirt in the ground. You don't live in a bubble, because then you have no immune system. I mean, that's all I have to say. I think I've expressed myself, and I'll check in next month with another video. There'll be the weekly updates, and everything's so exciting. Everything that we're creating here is so exciting because it's in inverse without everything else, which is like collapsing at an increasing speed. So everything that we're doing is just going to catapult on such a crazy exciting trajectory of what we're going to create that it's hard to even keep up week to week, month to month, year to year. Um, and that's the value of these. So, what I anticipate is great, exciting things locally, and what we're doing, what I'm doing, and putting all my energy into. I'll keep I'll keep communicating about the contrast between the two to try to catalyze people's choice to be able to choose a better future for themselves. And the external, it's just going to keep destabilizing and collapsing. There's no other option. There's nothing that can be done for that value system. It's inherently created to fail at some point, and that point gets exponentially closer. And there's no way to turn it back. It's only when is it going to fail. The closer it fails, the closer the opportunity is to to create a solution, right? But what the government is going to do, it's going to push that failure point as far back as possible. Japan has been in depression for like 30 years. They should have failed so long ago, but they've been in this long, drawn out depression, which it's just tragic. But that's been supported by the Fed and the U.S. financial system. So as the U.S. is failing and going into the hyperinflation, stagflation, depression that Japan went into, it's going to push that back as much as possible. It'll print money. It'll give money away. It'll start wars. It'll continue these pandemics. That'll attack and destroy its own internet system. Anything it can do to divert people's attentions to think that something else is going on to maintain the value system as long as possible, because everyone in their positions of power now, it's all based upon that value system, and they want to maintain their power. They're all self-serving, so they're never going to reach the point of reality, right? It just doesn't happen. It's like the politicians will play politics until no one listens to them anymore, until they're not getting a check and they realize, like, fuck, I gotta survive. I gotta take care of my family. I'm not going to do this stupid, like, podium thing, vote thing, legislation. Let's make new rules, and like it's all broken. So let's stop wasting our time looking at the people making the stupid rules because they are part of the problem. Anyways, I'm going off now. I think I've conveyed my mentality perspective as much as I need to. And I'll check in again next month, see where we're at. Take care, everybody. Oh, I thought it wasn't even recording. Stop.